5 comics that have lived rent-free in my brain ever since I read them for one reason or another. Tinder by Beth Hetland. This is a story of a girl trying to go through a relationship. Particularly a rough one. There's a breakup included. But the climax and ending to this story has a lot of body horror aspects to it, with possessiveness, maybe PTSD, maybe mental health disorder. And I don't want to spoil how that all plays out for you, but I just have to say that it has lived in my brain ever since, and I often think about this book and I want to revisit it, but I'm kind of afraid to. Animal Man by Grant Morrison. The story of this obscure superhero Animal Man, and it starts off as like a nice, fine, he's dealing with his family and trying to pay bills, but then the climax of it in the last dozen or so issues turns into this metatextual thesis on what it means to be a fictional character and what it means to be a writer in control of these fictional characters. I constantly think about this, especially when I'm reading any other book. Den by Richard Corbin, particularly this first volume. It's this really psychedelic, trippy artwork. It's telling the story of the ultimate man in total masculinity and what it means, and I think even in today's age, we can look at it as toxic masculinity. The beginning of this book is amazing. The power of it and how it subverts your expectations as far as like telling the story of the ultimate man. Maybe it spins into something else and tells the power of women. 20th Century Boys by Naoki Urasawa. It's a story of this young group of boys that write a comic book together. And then what happens when they find out when they're adults, everything they wrote down in that comic book comes true. And it turns into this like insane conspiracy theory with like this cult going on. These friendships of your childhood coming back together for the sake of humanity and the world. And telling the story of growing up. It's a coming of age story as well, but it is absolutely amazing. I constantly think about this book. Sunday by Olivier Schwaun. It tells the story of this character going through 24 hours of one boring Sunday. Now that sounds like the worst comic book of all time, but I'm telling you, it is absolutely thrilling. He is unabashed and unashamed. The thoughts that are going through his head all day, it'll make you think of your own thoughts that you go through every day that no one else can hear. It has like an ultimate tension building towards the climax of how it's going to end. It sounds like a boring premise, but I promise you that's just like the surprise, because the story itself is actually really, really amazing and one of the best comics I've ever read. Check out the link in my bio for longer form videos of me talking about comics, and you keep talking comics.